Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Committee of the Whole agenda for Wednesday, July 23rd. Call the meeting to order. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Committee of the Whole for the Township of North Glengarry accepts the agenda for the Committee of the Whole meeting on Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025.
Any questions on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. None opposed. Moving on to, there are no delegations. Staff report. Administration Department, AD 2025-05, Council Code of Conduct. Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We rise for that?
No.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Committee of the Whole for the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report AD 2024-05, Council Code of Conduct, and that the Committee of the Whole recommends to Council to approve the attached policy.
Okay, thank you. Take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as part of Bill 68, which is an older bill that came out quite a number of years ago, we were required to have a council code of conduct, a staff code of conduct, etc. So far, since I've been here anyway, we've had no issues with council or any sort of reasons why we would need to have this. However, as part of the work plan for the clerk and the CIO's department was to do some of these policies that we need to do. So this is the first of many that will be coming to council over the next couple of months. So the one that we have before us today is the Council Code of Conduct. So part of this outlines the definition of what a conflict of interest is. So that's exactly what the mayor just asked, if anyone has a pecuniary interest. So council's well aware of the provisions within the Conflict of Interest Act that you have to adhere to, as well as the other acts that you all have to adhere to. So this is just in concert with those different acts. It goes on to describe things like gifts and different things like that, as well as a whole complaint procedure. So we do have, and we were legislated to have an integrity commissioner. Our integrity commissioner at this current time is Tony Fleming. That is who everyone within SDG County uses, as well as a lot of the different municipalities towards Kingston as well. So Tony, as our integrity commissioner, would receive a complaint if council was in contravention of this code of conduct. And he may also receive other complaints about, conflict of interest or workplace violence and harassment, etc. And he would decide which different policy or act that there may be a violation for. Within the policy also includes any sort of recommended sort of penalties under that code. We have all not experienced, but have seen in different municipalities where there's contraventions of the code, and then those actual penalties are hard to enforce by council. It could be such things as taking a pay cut, etc., but there is no current teeth within the Municipal Act to have a council member removed from council, unfortunately. I know that MMAH is working with the provincial government to change those things, and we've gone to them and asked them to, as clerks in AMO, Roma, AMCTO. It hasn't come down yet, but we're still hopeful it will. To give more teeth to policies like this. So that's sort of the spirit of the policy, and I certainly can take any questions from the committee if you have any.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Go ahead. Deputy Mayor, then Councillor Manley.
Okay. Thank you. I think this is excellent. It really is does help you kind of understand if issues are going to arise, how to handle them, and it makes perfect sense to me. So thank you for producing this, Sarah. And you mentioned other policies coming forward, because I think we've been waiting for a staff code of conduct for some time. When do you expect to be able to bring that to us?
So I'm looking at the staff code of conduct for September. And then we will be also updating, I'm hoping for September as well, because as I'm doing this policy, I was reviewing our workplace violence and harassment policy. And we have some comments that we received amongst different county and lower tier from Cunningham Swan on those policies. There have been some updates to the Bill 168 as well. So those two policies will come in September as well.
Great, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a lot of it, where did a lot of this come from? Like the actual document? Is it a provincial document or is it a?
So usually what we do when any of the municipalities, we kind of gather, there's suppositories on, like Municipal World, AMCTO, that you can pull different policies that
Right.
different municipalities have put together. Larger cities, they have legal teams they put
Right.
together. So I've taken a lot of the good components from some of those. Something I started to write a while ago and then just sort of put it together. So I also use the county of SDGs as a basis as well. I know they're looking at updating it as well. They've received some comments back from Tommy Fleming on theirs. So I used some of his comments to kind of make sure that it went in line, because if we ever have an issue, he will utilize this as a core document. So just making sure that it kind of went in line with what he commented with SDG, I did that as well.
Excellent. I think it's a great document, so congratulations.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, unopposed. Weird. Not a spot for me to sign all of these. Okay, moving on to staff report B, Community Services Department, CS 2025-13, ICE start update. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move myself, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Whole, the Committee of, oh my God, I'll start over again. That the Committee of the Whole for the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report CS 2025-13, 2025 ICE start updates, and that the Committee of the Whole recommends to Council to approve the ICE start updates to the Glengarry Sports Palace on September the 10th, 2025, and Maxwell Sports Complex of September 21st, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The previously stated opening dates for both the Glengarry Sports Palace and the Maxwell District Sports Complex are being proposed in consideration of user demand that we've received for this year's upcoming season's ICE requests, availability of our resources, as well as the operating costs associated. So with these dates, we've looked at the requests that we've received from our users and noted that we did not have an abundance of requests for the earlier portion of September, or even sometimes we receive them as early as late August. And so due to the lack of requests during the beginning of the season, we didn't feel there was a need to tie up our resources and strain our resources who are still transitioning from summer events and activities and festivals in August into the ICE season. So as such, the dates that we're proposing are in alignment with staff availability without incurring overtime for our resources to prepare the ICE. In addition to alignment with the ICE requests that we've received and associated operating costs. So as you'll see in your agenda packages, we did break down with these anticipated start dates of September 10th for Glengarry Sports Palace and September 21st for the Maxwell Sports Complex. We do see quite a significant amount of hours rented in the first week following those start dates, which justifies the reasoning for starting up the ICE on these associated dates. It should be noted that we're also anticipating a very busy ICE season at both of our arenas, with some of the construction projects taking place at other arenas in the surrounding areas. So we do anticipate quite a high volume of ICE requests into the season, and our ICE requests that we received are reflective of that so far. So subject to any questions, these are the two dates that are being proposed for our opening ICE dates at both of our arenas.
Okay, so I have a question. So what's changed in the last little, maybe you can answer that. It just seemed we were getting harassed to be opened August 15th and August 10th. And now it seems like we're not getting, and I shouldn't use the word harassed. I mean, we're getting lots of requests for that time. Has the timing for tryouts changed?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that briefly, Mr. Mayor. We are seeing some of the requests that did come forward for earlier ICE were for more of practice requests or exhibition games. Their seasons are not actually starting until later in October. So that's when the demand and the volume really peaks. So typically any associations that are asking for early ICE in August or September, as much as they want the ICE times, it's sometimes a little bit more staggered in terms of what we're actually seeing the usage in terms of the value of us actually opening for not consistent rental periods. So that's where this year, the few requests that we did receive for early ice, we just couldn't justify with the cost of operating and staff time and to transition the ice that quickly, when of course, as we're seeing, some of our summer periods are extending later into September. So those warmer temperatures also create a challenge for opening the ice that early. So to answer your question, the long and the short of it is the requests that we do receive for early ice are a little bit more scarce and sporadic, as opposed to consistent season games or schedules that we see into October and beyond.
I think it's great. It's easier on our equipment for startup to be going later. I mean, trying to put ice in the first week of August is not good for our equipment. So no, this is great. Further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just out of curiosity, the 35 and a half and the 32, how, I know they're projections, but how solid are they? Like, are those bookings or are those just requests at this point?
Those are requests at this point, pending council's approval to move forward with the start dates. We
Okay.
will get back to our ice requests and confirm and validate that the ice is available as projected.
Okay.
But I can even say, even as of this morning, we're still receiving requests even after the fact for additional ice times, pending changes or cancellations with other arenas. So I fully actually anticipate these numbers have potential to grow.
Nice. Okay.
So definitely we're seeing a lot of volume and demand for
Good.
both arenas.
What facilities are closed this year? Who's,
I think where we're seeing the most impact is with the Cornwall Civic Complex being closed
oh,
for their
right.
construction projects.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. None opposed. Thank you for your report. Okay. Moving on to Building, Planning and Bylaw Department, enhancement of public notice. Councillor Madden.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the Committee of the Whole for the Township of North Glengarry receives staff report number BP 2025-16, 2025, enhancing public notification, and that the Committee of the Whole recommends to Council to review and adopt the notification process on planning applications that are deemed sensitive in nature.
Okay, thank you. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what maybe I propose is I'll just go quickly through the report. The next three reports are really for to get feedback from council to staff to see what the purpose is in all these three subjects here. So the first one is enhanced public notification process. So it was asked by council for staff to come up with a report to evaluate some options on how we could enhance public notification on some planning applications that would be deemed sensitive in nature. So the applications that we see here in house will mostly be minor variances and zoning bylaws. Some other sensitive applications are mostly seen at the county level, like the official plan amendments, for example. So this is really to establish some kind of a consistent approach with our application and to propose some procedures or some solutions that we could offer when there's such application that comes in. So the definition, part of my definition in my report, so sensitive land already exists in the Planning Act, as you know, like I refer to it sometime when you change some lands to a residential land and there's commercial around. So when you go into more of a sensitive use, that already exists in the Planning Act. So that's not really what we want to talk about here. This is really just when applications would be deemed sensitive as per council's opinion, I guess. So we will have to make sure that we make the definition clear to make sure that we're not trying to amend the official plan's sensitive use definition here. So I just wanted to clarify that. So by definition, sensitive use means when areas or lots are susceptible to adverse effect from neighboring properties or neighboring operations. So this is pretty straightforward. When you talk about residential daycare, schools are the ones that come to mind right away. You can also have some impacts from industrial, agricultural, or commercial. So this would really try to reflect mostly try to attract public to take notice of this change. So we want to raise any concern beforehand, to avoid putting council in tough positions. So environmental issues, I explained there, social, amenity impact, so everything that could affect the decision or affect the public's view for council based on an application. Could also be defined as location where routine activities are negatively impacted by emission or some other activities. So criterias. So this is just a list I came up with of the things that I thought could be deemed sensitive. It can be changed, it can be removed, it can be reduced. Most of them I took like from other, there's not a whole lot of bylaws like that in the province, but most of these terms come from like the Planning Act and the official plan and other townships around. This is really just like criterias where council would judge it sensitive. Now, I just want to, like this, it looks like a big list. I just want to let council know, since I started working here, maybe only 3 applications could fit into those criteria. So although the list looks pretty strict, it doesn't involve a lot of stuff of day-to-day applications that we see. So the first one, scale and intensity. So basically, if you want to intensify a zone, like going from R1 to R4, of course, it's going to be affecting the neighbors a lot. Location-specific factors. So if you have stuff like a landfill beside, or if there's established neighborhoods and you want to really change a zone where, like, for example, we do have some properties in Alexandria in the middle of R1, they are zoned R4. You know, the lots are not very big, but if someone would want to come in and build like a complex building 4 stories high, he technically could. So that's some stuff that we could evaluate here. Community interest or opposition, so mostly like for historical or heritage buildings. Deviation from policy, that one we already kind of do it like that, because usually when we do that, it's a big change and it involves an official plan amendment. So we have seen a few through the years, like the one where we change a landfill or something into some rural land. So the counties will be involved. So this is already, I guess, deemed sensitive because there's already a lot of agencies involved. Environmental or heritage, well, that's stuff like floodplain. Sorry, it's a page here I need to change. So floodplains and stuff like that. And you have the green energy projects, of course, solar, wind, in our case here, battery, so anything that would touch these things. Social sensitivity, so social housing, rehabilitation facilities, place of worship. We're not seeing a lot here, but it could happen. In this case, we would be prepared. And my favorite at the bottom, council or political interest. So anything that would attract, of course, media or pressure from the public. So this is just a list I've put together. The process for flagging those, so as you can see, it's very straightforward. So what we would do, initial assessment from staff, I guess in this case would be me. Of course, I could ask advice from Peter Young at the counties to know if this would make sense for sure. And then I would meet with the CAO, with Sarah, to see if she also is in the same opinion. And from there, what we would do is we would bring it to council at one of the council meetings. Council would provide its opinion, make its decision, and then from there, so that's an important thing here to remember is if or when I do that, it will delay the process, right? Because I can't, like the 21 days will only be able to start when we deem it sensitive or whatever. So that's why it's really going to be like up to staff to make the initial assessment so that we don't delay any process for nothing. Because in this case, we could be like sued for delay. Like we also have to follow the Planning Act, I guess is what I want to say. And then council's decision on whether or not it's deemed sensitive and what public notification measures we should use. So again here, this is just a list I have come up with. So the first 2 that you see there, extended notification periods and wider distribution areas, they're probably the only 2 that would involve a little bit more work and study on my part, because I need to make sure that we're also in line with the Planning Act. So if we decide to change one of these two things, not that we're going against the Planning Act, but we're doing something else than what the Planning Act is telling us to do. So we'd have to maybe do an official plan amendment is what I read, but if we decide to go forward with that, I'll check into that. But the first two are the only ones that involve that. So extend the notification period, like for example, for any minor variance, I need to advertise 10 days in advance, and for zoning, it's 20. So council could decide to double that time period, so it would give more time for the neighbors to think about their opinion and their thoughts. And same thing for distribution area. So I have a good example coming on my next planning meeting where we have widened the distribution area because the radius for what is proposed was actually a lot bigger than the Planning Act 60-meter required buffer. So I've decided to advertise to everybody that are technically involved by that because they're within, it's an MDS too, so they're within that buffer zone. So that's where I will, like if we decide to move forward, we'll also have to make sure that, like let's say someone who's 580 meters and they were notified because they're within that 588. So technically that person is not the same individual as the one who lives inside the Planning Act required buffer zone. So we'll have to make sure that either they know that they don't have the same rights, or they're like if they decide to appeal because they got the letter and they get turned down right away because you were not even, like the board says you were not even supposed to be notified, this is not a valid appeal. So we'll need to make sure that these things don't happen. Anyway, we'll have, this is, I guess, a study for me. And then all the other ones are, I guess, easier to do. So on-site signage, so of course we could have bigger signs. I have seen that in other townships where, especially for zoning bylaw amendments, it's a big 4x8 sheet, like so that could be something that we do. Online visibility, so of course the township's website, which we already do, but it could be I guess, clearer. Social media, I spoke with a few planners and we have to be careful of that one. My personal opinion, Facebook is just somewhere that people post their meals and complain about everything. So we want to make sure that we post the right things at the right place, just to make sure that we're not just creating work for Misha here and for staff for nothing. So anyway, community information session. So that's a good one, I guess, if it's very sensitive, like we could have a dedicated meeting for that. Translation and accessibility. Accessibility, I know Misha's very good at that with our website. Translation could be done. I know as a French person, I'm sure you all know French. So there's a lot of people that call me and ask for that to be translated. And luckily for me, I'm French, so I can easily explain it to them, but that may be something that we want to look at. Press and media notification, we already put it in the newspaper. It could be made, I guess, clearer, or I don't know, a full page, or I don't know, something like that. And the last thing would be required studies. So this is something that we would normally ask for, but at a later stage. So this thing, like for example, the MDS is done before. They have to do it, so it's not something more. So I'm talking more like something like I have here like a planning rationale that could be required before they change their zoning instead of only at planning. So stuff like that. The other one I found was some townships have asked for, they're called area of influence study. So it really focuses on which area or what's the buffer zone of people that are going to be affected by this change. So something like that would be maybe a smart idea of what we could ask for. So this is a small list I have come up with. Implications, resourcing. So there is some time, I guess, involved with that, and some monies for if we decide to go with the bigger sign and whatnot. So resourcing and financials are most of the applications, like I said, will not be deemed sensitive. So it's not like it's a very overly huge change, but there are some facts to consider. Of course, another important factor is the transparency. So this would improve community's confidence in council, where like the council would really be trying to pass the message that this is happening and whatnot. Risk mitigation. So this is the one that kind of opened my eye on like what the Planning Act says as versus to what we do. So I just want to make sure that we're not just telling people that, but they have like no say or whatever. So anyway, we need to check into that. So the Planning Act, so the two legislation that needs to be reviewed here for this change will be, of course, the Planning Act. Like I explained, we want to change, like if we change the radius or change the people that are notified or the time frame period, I just need to make sure that we're okay with the Planning Act. There is some, especially in especially in the provincial policy statement, there are some statements in there that says like, before making a decision, council should really like emphasize on public consultation and public knowledge. So in the PPS, it already talks about stuff like that. So anyway, I'll just need to review these two legislative documents before we make any change. But no, I guess that's a wrap up of my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for this, Jacob. I have to tell you, it is very thorough and meaty, and you know, you've done a great job at really, you know, I was expecting something a lot simpler, but you've really...
Good to know for next time.
But you've really covered all of the angles here, and, you know, I think some of this stuff, I agree with you, we're gonna have to be careful with it in terms of, you know, if we're gonna go notification out further, it potentially has implications. We need to make sure we're not creating a problem rather than potentially solving a problem. I understand that, and but anyway, I think that the bones of this are superb, and thank you for your efforts.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councilor Madden.
Thank you. Good job. Do you think we can adopt it as it is, or do we need to round it out a little bit more? Sort of make it a little more, I don't know, linear or sort of a process to follow?
If council decides to adopt something like that, I would just want to make, especially for the Planning Act, just to make sure that everything is covered and we're even allowed to do, like, to enhance the radius or something like that. But all in all, it's maybe make it a little bit more legal, and it's more of a Sarah and Jenna's job, but just to make sure. But I think the criteria, the process, and the solutions to enhance public notification make sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Okay, good.
I think just to, moving forward, I think, you know, today we'll just, you know, we'll, by consensus, just ask, you know, this is what we're looking for. Let's move forward, and let's start making it so it's a document that we can, you know, can survive us, and that's good. Go ahead.
I just want to be like, when we're within the standards right now, like the 120 radius and whatnot.
Yeah, right now what we're doing is actually a little bit
More-
above what the planning is asking for, in the sense that we're, like, I'm only using the 120 buffer. I'm only using the certain amount of dates that I need, but we do put it on our website, and I also put it in a newspaper. So they're, like, we're trying to make it as much as available
we're
as we
following-
can.
we're
We're
following.
absolutely following. Right now, we can continue exactly as right now. We're still okay.
Because we have to be aware of the distribution area at 120. If we double that to 240, we're actually quadrupling the area size. When you look at the area of the circumference, it's pi r squared. So you're quadrupling the cost of distribution of notifications and whatnot. So we just have to take into account the extra cost it's going to be, the size of signs, and who's going to pay for them. Maybe somebody who's going to bring in, an entity who's going to bring in a sensitive project. Maybe we have to include that in the costs, you know.
Yes, exactly. So the city of Cornwall, when there's a big change that is being done like that, it is the responsibility of the owner to make the sign and to post it on site based on the cities, what they want on the sign. And to your point of doubling the radius, so I spoke with Mr. Deputy Mayor about that. It's more of a factor here because the ones that will most likely be deemed sensitive are the ones that are close to towns and close to stuff like that. So if you double the radius, like you pretty much include the whole town. So that's a lot of properties that needs to be there. So that means that there's a lot of opinions, and you're, like, not that it's a bad thing, but you're stirring a lot of stuff that may not need to be. So anyway, yeah.
Go ahead.
To follow on that point, and you mentioned it earlier, if we do that, go ahead with that, right? Double it, they don't necessarily have a right to comment or a right to appeal. It's purely informational for their interest.
Correct, yes, so that's what I believe, because the Planning Act is the Planning Act.
Yeah.
We're not amending the Planning Act. So if that says that only 120 are allowed to appeal or whatnot, if you're outside, you need to know that, so maybe a different letter, so
was gonna
that's,
say, yeah.
it's something that needs to be, like,
So, I mean, it's a little bit more work. It's not a ton. You're just amending the letter to say you're being notified for,
exactly. Well,
you know, consideration. You do not have a right to appeal.
yes, and something too that we need to, so I guess it falls on Sarah and I to decide which file we bring, right? So some files will be sensitive after the fact, even though, like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know ahead of time if this is going to create an issue, and someone may say, well, why didn't you decide that this file was not sensitive? So council may get some, I don't know, some pressure backlash on that. I just want to bring that up too, so that could happen. I think we discussed that.
And the one thing is, we shouldn't say that they can't comment, because we'd have a public meeting and they'd have a full right to get up and speak. They just can't appeal the decision. The only people that can appeal a decision are within that 120. Yeah, just want to clarify that. Councillor Manley.
Thanks for your report, Jacob. Just wondering, how much extra time do you think this is going to require within your department to bring this in? That's a tough question. I know that's.
Very hard to say. I know that if you send a letter to the whole town, it will be a lot of time to answer questions.
Right.
Because it's already, like, it's already happening when we send our letters. I don't know, maybe 10% of the people come, like, call me and ask questions or send an email, and it's a good thing. It means that they're asking questions and they're getting informed. So if you quadruple that, it's a lot of time. So I don't know how much time, but it is more time. When people receive a letter, they feel like, a lot of people feel that they're more involved in this. So that for me is the big one. If you start advertising to more people with a personal mailed letter, that will involve more. A big sign will also bring up questions, but less, I think.
But I'm just wondering, just on to that point, what, like, can we, and, you know, we keep talking about it, there's only, as you said, 3 or 4 of these that
Yes.
that you've had come up, so it's not like it happens all the time. And on a big, you know, because I know I've gotten those letters, and, you know, I'm on council, I understand them, but maybe we could have a separate little letter outlining, this is what we're talking about, and to make it understandable to the everyday, you know, resident. You know, maybe just because again, we're not looking at every planning. As we know, 98% of our planning stuff comes through with, you know, you get calls on it, but nobody even comes to council for them, even in that 120 area.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Jeff, sorry.
Just a follow-up to that, if I could, Mr. Mayor. And with regards to time, I know time costs money too, or whatever, but financially, what are we looking at?
I don't think that's very much, like,
Okay.
it's more stamps, of course, and if we cover the cost for a huge sign, this would be a lot more, but other than that, other than, like, sometimes to make sure that things, I don't think it involves a lot of money, really. It's more time that is in this case, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Go ahead, Councillor Kiddo.
It just seems to me that all of this discussion has been considered by the people who made the Planning Act, you know? And to me, why are we making our own special edition of it, you know?
Yes, you're right. The Planning Act did establish a buffer zone, so And that's why if we decide to enhance that buffer zone, the province already said you're outside of that buffer. So yeah,
Yeah, I kind of say, what's the point?
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To your point, Councillor Cadell, well, I think, you know, the reason we're having this discussion, particularly on the subject that produced this, is because the province is pushing these green projects that are causing uproar in various communities. And they're not supporting these projects on the back end. They're just saying to the IESO, make these projects happen, and throwing them in the lap of the municipality, and then they're not faced with the backlash, we are. So you know, I don't know, I'm not really trying to throw the province under the bus here, but we need, if they don't provide provisions that can answer our questions before we get in hot water, or answer the public's questions before they're in hot water, you know, make sure that the person who's producing these projects is following all the rules. If they're not going to do that, then we have to protect ourselves. And that's what I see as, I think that's why we're having this conversation.
Councillor Goodell.
You know, so the BEST project is the reason we're doing this. So that's been done. Is there going to be another, or, you know, and the protests we felt as a result of whatever we did, even though we were within the bounds of what we were required to do, has been loud. And so the purpose was fulfilled, that they came, people who weren't notified came forward, and you know, I just think that we're trying to overdo things, you know, and unnecessary. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments at this time? Just by nods of your head, or we already have a motion? We do have a motion, so if we're ready to, I will call the motion. No, to the committee of the whole, receive staff report on enhancing public, let the process. Yeah, so it's asking, the committee of the whole recommends to council to review and adopt the notification process on planning applications that are deemed sensitive in nature. Well, I think that's part of what they're going to bring back. to
Yeah, I was
council.
really just looking for a
Looking for-
direction to create the policy.
No. Yeah.
Not adopting anything now.
No, but
or-
not even make the recommendation to review it.
Okay.
Adopt right now to council.
No, it's,
It's gotta be drafted.
no, it says recommends to council to review and adopt, so it's still got to come to us. Still got to come to council, yeah. Okay, so I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed? So we have a tie vote, so, okay. Wasn't expecting that. Okay, so the motion is defeated. So at this point, is there anything that we can do to change? Does somebody want to put something else in, or, you know, is this your, the three that are here, is this your final? Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just think that what is in place is enough.
Okay.
I agree. I think we followed procedures and notifications went out, and
Okay, the motion is defeated. Okay, thank you. So moving on to BP 2025, review of bylaw 44, 2017, mobile food chip wagon, food wagon and chip stands. Councilor Martin.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Committee of the Whole for the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report number BP 2025-17, being a review of bylaw 44-2017, which governs the licensing and operation of mobile food wagons and chip stands within the Township of North Glengarry for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you. Jacob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, that one, it's one I've been wanting to do for a little while since I started working here, I think. So it's the chip stand and food truck bylaw that we have here at the township. As you can see, it's bylaw number 44-2017. So that one that we have here was passed in 2017. There was another one before that kind of dealt with the same idea, but not the thing that was added was the limits for the chip stand. So anyway, the chip stand bylaw did exist for a while. Like ESA and fire and health unit were involved for chip stands for a while here in North Glengarry. But this is really just, it was amended as the one we have today, and we're looking for here for a recommendation from Committee of the Whole to see if we want to amend it again, I guess. So it's really just a quick review. The bylaw is pretty straightforward. So this regulates the chip stands and the food wagon in the entire township of North Glengarry. So the bylaw that we have now, it involves like provisions per ward. So there's limits, there's licenses per ward in the township. Sanitation, construction standards, that will stay the same. Approval requirements from health unit, from the fire chief also will stay in there. Restrictions on number is the one we want to amend, and there's also the type of food that can be sold that we would like to amend. So we would, what proposed, I'll go right to the next slide right here. So that's the two things we want to change. So right now in the bylaw, it caps the number of chip stand and food trucks, 2 in Alexandria, 2 in Maxville, 1 in Kenyon, 1 in Lochiel. So we're proposing to remove the cap altogether, not have any limits on food trucks and chip stands in the township. The other thing we want to amend is the specific list that they can sell. So right now there's like a specific list. We also have an amended bylaw to add ice cream in there, so it gets complicated. It gets really specific, so we want to completely remove the list and only rely on the chip stand or food truck owner. He needs an approval from the health unit to be able to sell food, so we want to rely on that to make sure that everything is okay. So that being said, so we want to keep the license fees for the application. So we don't want to get rid of the application altogether. We just want to get rid of the cap. So we would maybe work on a different fee system, like per month, per year, per 6 months. We want to maintain the regulation more via zoning and fire department. So we want to emphasize on the fact that you can't have that on residential properties for nuisance issues, stuff like that. It has to be on commercial, institutional, or industrial. We already have that in the bylaw, and that we want to keep that. License would still be required. So there's a fee and there's a license. So we would keep the licenses there. That's where we will ask for our inspection. So normally I would go, I do kind of like I ask for fire extinguisher. I ask Chad sometimes to go as well for fire. They already have their health unit approval when they come, and most of the time they already have their ESA approval for the food truck, for the electricity if they need to connect. So that usually is, we don't have issues with that at all. So that's why we want to keep it, because it's also good to know that that they're being regulated by health unit, fire, and zoning, and and by electrical authority. So what we want to change or to remove is the list, the specific list. So right now, we're trying to play around the list to satisfy some, like for example, the best example is the Beaver Tail chip stand, the food truck. So if you read the bylaw, they're considered a food truck or a chip wagon in the township. So they could only sell that food, like burgers, hot dogs, fries, stuff like that. Because they sell beaver tails, they're kind of outside the bylaw, which is a little bit weird, or it makes no sense to me. So right now we have to issue their license, we have to go and check to make sure they don't sell fries, so it's kind of ridiculous for us to have to do that. So we just want to know there's a food truck, it's legal, it's okay, it's good for their customers, it's well-placed, there's no traffic issues, there's no nuisance from neighbor, you're good to go. So we want to emphasize more on being like proactive with that stuff like that and not having to respond to complaint where people call us and say that a food truck's there illegally, sells stuff that is not supposed. Anyway, there's some issues that we have that we're just trying to get rid of because they're kind of redundant in a bylaw that was made for certain reasons. Speaking about these reasons, I just want to notify council that before we make a change like that, so right now, there's only 2 food truck licenses that are licensed full-time in North Glengarry, the 2 are in Alexandria. So of course, we will go and discuss with these 2 owners about these changes because they're the one that are going to be the most involved into that. This was created for the restaurants and food trucks and council at that time to prevent competition and to make sure that there's not a chip stand at every corner and stuff like that, which does make sense, but we're not seeing that at all. We get maybe requests a few times a year, and we also have issues with, for example, Maxville, Glengarry Highland Games are coming in a couple of weekends. Well, technically speaking, if you read our bylaw, only 2 food trucks can be in Maxville at that time. It's ridiculous. So we want to remove all of these requirements for limits to be able to special events. There's no limit. So just trying to keep, because we don't issue licenses for Glengarry Island Games. It's all waived also, rightfully so, because we would have work for 3 months ahead of time. So we're just trying to make sense of that bylaw. So basically, we're getting rid of the limit. We're getting rid of the food list, just to encourage more. There's a little coffee place that wanted to open that kind of stopped because it was too complicated. The Beaver Tail, they want to be here a few weekends per summer, and we want just to be able to issue their license, give us the paperwork, end of story. That's it. Not having to check where, at some point we were trying to make them fit in front of the Home Hardware because they're outside Alexandria boundaries. So it's we don't need that kind of enforcement. Anyway, so that's what we're trying to achieve here. So that I explained that one, and that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so I was on council when we did all these stupid things. I will say, though, at the time, there were 5 chip trucks on Main Street in Alexandria. A couple of them looked great, some of them did not look great, and it just was. We just, how do 5 people make a living off it? I guess that's not our. That's just like a restaurant. I mean, if you open a restaurant, or you have to survive. But I just would never want to see that happen. 5 chip stands selling the same thing up and down the road. I guess if that's not a problem with everybody else, this is just my opinion. But I know that we lost an opportunity maybe to have the Tums Kitchen that's they wanted to set up here. So something a little bit different. And I know that food trucks seem to be in vogue in the cities and things like that. So I guess
And to your point, Mr. Mayor, I read the reports, and I believe 2 or 3 of them had issues with the health unit and ESA back at that time. So, you have a point. We're trying to avoid that stuff by, the health unit is really important because they're strict. So if you have your health unit approval, you can get us the fire chief approval also, and the zoning and everything's okay. It should help with some of that stuff, yes.
Okay, questions? Go ahead, Councilor Kiddo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment. I think this is a great idea. On July 1st at the park, they weren't able to get vendors, and if you've got other restrictions on them, but the laws that control what they're serving and all of that are great, and so I like this.
Okay, Councilor Madden.
I'll echo that. I think it's a good idea to update it, amend it, especially taking the list of foods out. And they're kind of on vogue. There may be an opportunity for something else here, but even our Meet Me on Main Street events, right? To bring in other vendors. It's gonna streamline things, simplify things just for even our own staff in other departments. So, yeah, I have no problem. And I agree with you. I remember when it came, and I remember the 5 on Main Street, and it was an abomination. It was terrible. But again, to your point, ESA, health unit, you know, if they're gonna put the effort into meeting those requirements and those criterias, they're not gonna be those trailers that somebody set up in their backyard that they were selling fries out of at 5 o'clock in the afternoon until 7 o'clock at night, right? And that's, so yeah, I'm all for updating it and making it more modern for us.
And we did have an issue on County Road 34.
Yes.
Going out of town. You know, they were set up and, you know, they had nothing from the fire department. They had no zoning. They had never gone to the Eastern Ontario Health Unit. They just put up a sign on every weekend and said, stop for poutines and fries and things. So, okay, questions? Go ahead.
Where can they set up and where can they not set up?
Well, we would keep pretty much the exact bylaw. So right now, it's either institutional, so township-owned property, they can ask permission to be there, commercial, and well, industrial, I guess. So basically, they cannot be on residential lands, and that was one of the issues. So they could technically be on like rural lands, agricultural lands, where you have more room, and like it also speaks about traffic and stuff like that. So that's a good point. Like on the 34 was an issue. People were going 80 and parking on the side of the road. So if we do provide, because right now we don't issue the license because we can't technically. So what we would do, we would like ask maybe for a site plan. Do you have parking? Do you have more? So it gives us more options to be proactive, to make sure it will not be an issue. So yeah, right now there's technically only in residential that they cannot be. So residential is only within towns. I would recommend staying like that because it would create some, but first of all, no, like most don't want to be there, so.
Yep, go ahead.
Comment on that. The historical aspect of this, the 5, and as long as we're aware of it, we can prevent it from happening, but it was village core, right? So it's mixed use where you can do commercial and residential. And that's where they all were, was Main Street, which is village core, which encourages mixed use.
Yes.
So as long as we figure out how to make sure that they don't just pop up on somebody's front lawn, and as you said, plan for parking, if we do the licensing and go with that, then it should prevent that, but that's, my recollection is that's where that issue is coming from.
Also, can you, just make sure that we do reach out to the 2 current license holders and
Definitely, yes.
have them in on the discussion as well. I think it's important. So. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. So that'll be a report coming back to council.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. BP review of bylaw 2014 garage sale bylaw, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Committee of the Whole for the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report BP 2025-18, being a review of bylaw 2014, which governs garage sales within the township. Is this the right one?
Yep.
Okay. Within the Township of North Glengarry for information purposes, with emphasis on eliminating licensing requirements, enhancing enforcement provisions, and clarifying the zoning-based limitations for garage sales on private property, and that the Committee of the Whole recommends to Council to review and adopt amendments proposed to bylaw 2014.
Okay, thank you. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is another one we want to clean up, I guess, garage sales bylaw, which we also already have. It was established back in 2014. Speaks about licensing requirement. It talks about limits of there's 5 free garage sales per year per property. So we currently have that. And then they can go on as long as they want, but they need to come and pay for a license. So it's really complicated to keep track of. It does restrict the type of goods sold, which we would keep, prohibits the use of public property, which we would also keep. It was passed to maintain residential character. So this bylaw is is pretty good in essence. We just really want to adjust the limit. So that's pretty much my report is based on that. So I have to admit, for this bylaw, we're not doing our jobs because we're not following who does garage sales or not, and that's a problem because some want to come in, they want to apply for the garage sale license. They know that they're allowed to 5 because they would do it in the past, but there are so many garage sales happening just like on a weekend basis and just people wanting to, that basically here what we want to do is just get rid of the limit altogether and also get rid of the license altogether. So we basically want to make sure that the garage sale don't become a nuisance for sure. So we want to regulate them again more with zoning. So we want to prohibit them in any zone except for residential, and you have to sell residential goods, which is already like that. It's already that wording. So you can't have a garage sale on a commercial property because it becomes a flea market, so it becomes a business. So it's a whole completely different story. We want to limit the time to 2 days. So right now I think it's 3 or 4. We want to limit to 2. So 2 days at a time. We did have an issue with someone on Main Street where the garage sale would just go on forever. So we were like, well, it's no longer a garage sale. It's a business that you're having here. So there's different set of rules that would apply here. So we just want to, I guess, to clean it up, to make it easier, because we're not keeping track. It's impossible. Like, we don't work on weekends. People would do garage sale on weekends. We're not even aware. And then on a Monday, people would complain that they had a garage sale, that they did not have their license. So anyway, we just want to get rid of that problem. Mostly, the changes. See, these are the proposed change. So eliminate the licensing, remove the 5 sale limit per year, limit the duration to 2 consecutive days from 8 to 8. Maybe we will change, I thought of that after, but maybe we will change those times to match the nuisance bylaw that we already have. So most of the regulations in this garage sale could be enforced with the nuisance bylaw as well, like stuff like encroachment and noise and like garbage on the prop. So we will maybe change the times to reflect the exact same time from nuisance bylaw. Clarify private property. So we will add like residential term in there too, like where it's just in residential zones. Zoning base emphasize, so that's what I said. Restrict the types of items sold. That's not really an issue, like a garage sale is a garage sale. Address nuisance. We already have the nuisance bylaw that the police can enforce on the weekend. So if something ever goes really bad, like I said, most of the enforcement from that can come from the nuisance bylaw, which the cops could enforce on weekends and nights and whatnot, so that's good. And we also want to get rid of the limit because of special event exceptions. So we were asked many times by departments here in town. I know in Lancaster they have that big thing, garage sale. So people were asking if they, like, we were like, yeah, but no, because like this says that only on residential properties. If they want to do it in town, there's no resident, so it's core, but, so we want to have like a special events exception where we could like, okay, go ahead, there's no residential or zoning enforcement for that weekend. So we just want to add that in there. And yeah, so there's gonna be no impact on finance because we're not collecting the license anyway, so it will just be really clean it up, make it easier to work with for everyone, and this is not like, to be honest, garage sales are not an issue here in North Glengarry. We rarely get complaints on them. It's really right now what we're doing is not as per our bylaw. So we just want to be compliant with our own bylaw, of course. So we want to propose these changes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and I do like the fact about the 2 consecutive days because, you know, while there have been no complaints, but I know of a couple of places that sell daily, and okay, yeah, anybody comments or questions? Go ahead.
If, an example off the top of my head, and we won't talk about addresses or anything, but there's one place that's selling bicycles,
Yes,
like, every day.
yes.
And these are not new bicycles. What will we do about something like that?
We'll have to try to work with them, I guess. It's hard because at some point, like the small business or a garage sale, like what's the, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the line is thin, so we'll have to, I guess, work with the owner. We can't really grandfather them in because they were doing it before. So yeah, we'll have to check maybe to see what we can do. I know exactly where you're talking about, so yeah. There's another place too that I know that it could be an issue because they have it often and they're pretty close to the road. It's outside of town. So anyway, we'll have to figure something out, I guess, for those properties.
Okay, and that's, I'm all for this. I think it's just gonna be things like that become the issue, right? That we need to figure out. And I remember, again, when this came in, I wasn't here, but I remember when this came in and why it came in. And there were people that were just basically running a business out of their garage, right? They'd roll racks out onto the driveway every day and it's all open for business. And then put it away at night and do it again the next day.
They're already against the bylaw today, so it's not like it's new that they're, but that's the whole, the whole home-based business came into effect with that property, and they were, like, I guess, playing with words or whatnot. Anyway.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to fire department. About time you got here, we've been waiting. FD 2025-03, 2024 Fire Department Annual Report. Council Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the Committee of the Whole for the Township of North Glengarry receives 2024 Fire Department Annual Report for information purposes only.
Welcome, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is just providing council, as per the establishing regulating bylaw, the fire department is intended to provide an annual report to report back to council on what we've achieved over the 2024 in terms of even incidents and so forth. So I'll go through the report now. Don't know if the report can be put up.
Do not, but I can, give me 3 seconds, you can start and I can put it up for you.
Sure. So the report provided to council, it's just an outline of what the fire service, our mission, our visions of what we're trying to achieve, as well as an outline of what our organizational structure is divided in. So it's pretty straightforward, breaking down all our divisions in terms of what we've achieved. One of the key components I want to bring forward is just all the achievements of what each division has done, including the fire administration division, which looks after our Facebook page, all the background, the submitting to Ontario Fire Marshal, all the reporting and so forth. So we do a great job and we stay on top of a numerous amount of things. We're very well recognized across Ontario in terms of what we provide in terms of public education on Facebook. We're very well recognized by the Fire Marshal's office. So really, I gotta say kudos to our fireman, Misha Stafford, who really takes care of that extensively. Our fire prevention division, we've really expanded this division in terms of our members. We've increased our, in terms of Fire Prevention Week, as well as our long-term care facilities. There's requirements that we are required to conduct inspections at every vulnerable occupancy throughout North Glengarry. I'm pleased to announce that we've continued this in terms of ensuring the compliance within our VOs within the community. So the fire prevention divisions in 2024 had about 300 events that they attended and through schools and so forth, with about 4,000 people that we reached out to in terms of establishing fire prevention and safety programs. So just moving to page 8. School programs. This is remains the most effective way to prevent fires in terms of being able to reach out to the kids within the schools, where we could promote fire safety, where they could bring it back to their homes and teach their siblings and their parents of some key fire prevention methods, as well as some fire prevention tools and providing escape plans and so forth. So very pleased to say we've done 20 fire drills, more than 500 resources were distributed where every student in grade 4 and 5 were provided a fire safety booklet that was provided to each one of the students across every school in North Glengarry. So with over 60 inspections that were completed, this is by our Senior Fire Prevention Officer, Chad Shabat, who works very diligently in terms of making sure that we achieve compliance through all the inspections. We do have code enforcement, which is a line of defense that is primarily delivered by our Fire Prevention Division. So this is accomplished by enforcing various codes of fire safety and also responding to fire safety complaints throughout North Glengarry. In terms of media resources, we've had, as I indicated, with our Facebook and Instagram pages, we've had about over 10,000 interactions with about 2,000 followers, over 2,000 followers. So again, I keep on preaching of how good our Facebook page is, but our communication is really key in our success in fire safety and so forth, and promoting various different fire safety resources. Our training division. This division has been, as council is aware, since the implementation of the new certification for firefighters. There is no difference between full-time firefighters and volunteer firefighters anymore in terms of the certification that's required. So our training division has been extremely busy through the last 2 years, and through 2024 we remained, we had a recruit class, a firefighter 2 class, as well as hazmat operations, where I'm very pleased to say that 22 firefighters received their full NFPA certification. Our recruit class completed their firefighter 1 as well as hazmat awareness, and 14 firefighters completed hazmat operations training. This is all completed, all within in-house learning contracts. So this is our own firefighters teaching our own with our training facilities. So this is something that I think North Glengarry can be very proud of in terms of how we conduct our own training, and that we have that ability to train our own. So we're not having to, our folks don't have to go out to learning to regional training centers in Clarence Rockland or anything like that. We do everything in-house. And that's all key to our training division that's comprised of our instructors. So this is the men and women of our fire service that provide that extra time, take on the extra tasks. So it's really key to them that we're where we are today. So our suppression division, this is, again, this is the volunteers that make up our suppression division that's responding to incidents, various type of incidents. We responded to 221 response, where it was broken down in the chart on page 12, where as you can see, there was a wide variety of various different calls that we respond to, and some of those quite, they range from either minor to extremely major calls, which council I think is very well aware of all the various different fires or incidents that we do receive. So there is a heavy, burden on our members. So it's key and that we continue to kind of address how busy our department is for volunteers. So to keep on doing a great work, and real kudos to the men and women that volunteer within our community. So we continue to offer that service, and I'm pleased to, we continue to, again, with our training division, we continue to see the numbers and continue to get new recruits, so that's a positive thing for North Glengarry. Communication division, this is, our communication division is our dispatch centers out of Cornwall, so Cornwall Police. So this is through a contract, which we're very pleased in terms of their continuing, even with the next gen 911 that's coming in place. So they're going to be moving towards that as well. So we're gonna, we're still within that contract, but we're very pleased in terms of the service that Cornwall Police continue to deliver us. Our training facility, as I mentioned, this is something that has really brought us up in terms of permitting us to deliver all the required training. And this is why we are where we are right now, is because of the training facility that's located in Apple Hill, and that what we've developed in terms of building our own. What I'm pleased to say is, as council's aware, we did open it up to outside agencies, and I am pleased to report that, we have received some revenue back in terms of, so we do have South Stormont that utilizes it, City of Cornwall Fire, as well as South Glengarry Fire Department that has rented the facility. So it is proven to be a good resource for other municipalities around, and they are continuing to use it, and rentals are kind of staying kind of pretty even for 2025. That pretty much concludes the report, unless council has any questions for me.
Okay, thank you, Chief Roy. Questions or comments? Just want to say thank you for your report, and again, we're always quite proud of our fire department and the services they provide, and we've been seeing that a lot in the last and I told you, you knocked on wood saying it was quiet, and it's been crazy ever since. So please, next time, at least don't knock on the cement wall. So anyways, just pass that on to the firefighters and thank them for their service. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. And that's it. No, we have matters of standing committees. Councillor Massey is not here for Raisin Region. Maxwell Manor update. Any updates, Councillor Martin?
Well, the fundraising is still ongoing for the manor. It's right now they've approached the $1 million milestone. There's still a little bit left to go yet. The Catch the Ace jackpot right now is nearing $800,000, so get your tickets. And the 50-50 sales is apparently nearing the $10,000 mark right now, and they're going to draw that during the Highland Games. We have a date now for the actual groundbreaking ceremonies. It's going to take place October 20th.
August 20th?
Sorry, August 20th. At the Maxville Manor. At 10 o'clock, they'll do an actual groundbreaking, and festivities will take place at the Maxville Fairgrounds at 10:30 a.m. And that's good for the manor.
And the Minister of Long-Term Care will be
Exactly,
will be there as well. So just add on to
Yeah.
that.
She'll be nearby for AMO, so she
Yes,
won't be.
that's right.
She won't have to go very far.
Glengarry Pioneer Museum update.
Glengarry Pioneer Village, Pioneer Museum. Earlier this month, they held their 8th annual Smith's Inn, which is a blacksmithing demonstrations. They also had a quilting weekend, and there's a good article in the Seaway News on that. Came to a nice article on that. Now this Friday is on the 25th is a Christmas in July. They're playing the movie Christmas Village Romance, which was actually filmed right in the Pioneer Village sometime during the COVID period when it was closed down, so they actually was making use of it. And there's a fundraiser for the Maxville Manor on August 14th. It's called Country Music Under the Stars. There'll be live music performed by Jim Graham and beverages by the Wood Brothers Brewing. And of course, the 1812 reenactment coming up this fall.
Perfect.
It's good.
In case anybody can't go watch the movie, it's a Hallmark movie, so somebody's going to come home. They're going to get together. They're going to break up. One's going to say they're leaving, and then at the end of the movie they get back together. So it's just in case you can't make it. So. Yeah. They're all the same. Glengarry Archives, there is no.
Been watching them.
Yeah, and it gets me every time. Glengarry Archives, there was no meeting. Arts, Culture, and Heritage, Councilor Memon.
Mr. Mayor, Arts, Culture, and Heritage, our last meeting was July 7th. We're moving forward on some heritage designations that council will see in the next little bit. The Alexandria train station, the Grotto, Glengarry County Archives. Those are the three that are complete and ready to go. We have some others that we're looking at as well. Alexandria High School, the Union Bank Building on Main Street, La Fraternité, the Old Lawrence School, and St. Catherine of Siena and Greenfield. So those at some point will come to council or whatever for designation.
Okay, thank you. County Council update?
Okay, so it wasn't a terribly busy meeting. We had two delegations. One of them was the 2025 Ontario Winter Games Legacy Award presentation. And so the City of Cornwall and SDG both participate in this, and they offer up, I think it's either 3 or 4 scholarships. So that's good news. The Eastern Ontario Regional Network had a delegation on the Cell Gap project. That's coming to an end in 2026. 99% of the projects in SDG have been completed. And so anybody who is on the Roger Carrier should see a greatly enhanced cell connection. Just going through the agenda here. There is going to be another SDG Counties Municipal Summit in 2025. I forget what the date is.
Be in September.
In September, so you'll be receiving notice of this. All the 6 municipalities across SDG will be invited, and they will each present a segment of the summit, and all councillors are invited to go. It was time for expression of interest for the warden for 2026. For once, the mayor did not put his name in. But he got you, eh? Yeah, but he pretended he was going to. It was, of course, the Joker is always doing that. Anyway, there's going to be an election. Mayor Francois Landry from North Stormont's putting his name in, as well as
South Dundas Mayor.
Jason Broad. So there will be an election. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Friends of the Trails, Councilor Memon.
Yes, the Trails held their AGM at the Georgian House on Tuesday, July 15th. They're in need of some more board members. There were 3 resignations from the board this year. 2 new board members were added. They're still short of a couple members, so if you know anybody that wants to join the Trails.
Okay, thank you. Community Development, we have a meeting next Wednesday. Rural Affairs was last night. Councilor Massey's not here. You might give a little update.
Do you want to?
No, I'm trying to do it.
I can do it if you don't. I have the agenda in front of me.
You have some notes in there.
So very fulsome agenda last night and good discussion. One of the big topics was around trespassing. So there's been some issues within North Glengarry as well as South Glengarry of people trespassing on property for coyote hunting, garlic, different things like people coming onto your farm, poking around. So there will be a request to council for a letter to go to the OPP concerning this. Duncan Ferguson from GFA brought this forward to us, and the GFA is working with the OPP on some suggested solutions. We are probably going to be speaking to Misha as well after we speak to council at the next meeting about maybe some communications when it comes to the idea that farms are not open. They're private property and there is trespassing that can happen. Also some discussion about roads and different things like that. So we'll be speaking to Tim about roads and farm traffic. And then a good discussion on trees. So looking at managed forests, LiDAR data, et cetera, et cetera. So this was our first meeting in a while. And we're going to get back together in September. So from that meeting in September, there may be some things to come to council, but this is just our first meeting to kind of bring some of the topics, and then hopefully next meeting, say in October or something, will come to council. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, notice of motion. Next committee of the whole meeting is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025 at 3 p.m. here in the council chambers. Adjournment. Councillor Madden.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell. There being no further business discussed, the meeting was adjourned at 3:20 p.m.
All those in favor? Motion is carried. And we will move right into our regular meeting, or not regular meeting, special meeting of council. I'll call the meeting to order. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the agenda for the special meeting of council on September 23rd, 2025.
Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor? Motion is carried. No delegation, staff reports. Public Works Department, PW 2025-18, Alexandria Lagoon soil pre-loading. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report PW 2025-18, Alexandria Lagoon soil preloading, and that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry authorizes the Mayor and CAO to enter into a contract extension agreement with GIP, Green Infrastructure Partners, to supply granular B material for soil preloading at the Alexandria Lagoon for a value of $296,480.
Okay, do a prelude and then.
Sure. So I've asked Marco to come from EVB. So if there's any questions, he can certainly come up to the microphone. Tim is away in Australia, back home, so I offered to do these for him. So I won't do my Australian accent, but and I'll do my best to explain. Tim did speak to me about the two reports before he left, so Zoe and I were aware they needed to come to council. So the first report from this is to do with the lagoon project. So there's some need for granular B material at the site. With this project, it's very time sensitive, so it's important that we pass some of these reports on time. So it couldn't wait until Tim was back for our next meeting in September. So what we did, rather than do an RFP, because it certainly would, or a tender would have fit within that, we wanted to bring to council to extend the current contract we have with GIP for the supply of the material. The price, as you can see, is a very good price. Had we gone out to tender, it may have been actually the opposite. And he did approach GIP for the supply of this material, and they were willing to do so. So this is coming to council for an exception to the procurement policy to buy the granular B from GIP for the lagoon project, so we can stay to our timeline. And any specific questions about why we need that would need to go to Marco.
So just a question, so where is this going exactly? And if you could just mark on your 323, just for billing purposes, for when you started?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. There was a geotechnical report prepared in January of 2024, and they took another look at the entire site and did some additional geotechnical investigations based on our recommendations, and they identified an area on the site where the proposed submerged activated reactors are going to be constructed, and identified that the soil in that area is really susceptible to settlement. So what we're doing is we're preloading the area. So we're bringing this granular B in to an elevation of 1 meter above what the finished grade is going to be, with the whole purpose of trying to put enough weight on the area to compact all the soils so that when we go to put structures in the area, there will be no further settlement. They're predicting up to a 6-inch settlement differential in this area. So you can picture like putting a maintenance structure in with a sewer pipe on it, and then all of a sudden
that structure sinks 6 inches, you're gonna have leaks everywhere, and that's not what you wanna have in a wastewater treatment system. So that's the reason this is going to be done. The granulars that the township is buying will be repurposed. So this is a granular B type material that can be used on road base or other purposes that Tim has already slotted for the material.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Marco. I was reading this, I'm just curious, is it just weight, or is there gonna be like vibration added to this for packing purposes? I know it makes it a little tougher to dig it out if we pack it, but my mind is, I'm wondering about subsidence after the fact.
No, through you, Mr. Mayor. Again, they are going to be placing material and compacting it in accordance to the recommendations from the geotech report.
Okay, were you guys the geotech?
We have retained, or the township has retained the services of LaSalle Engineering to do the monitoring of the settlement. The original geotech report was prepared by AECOM.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? The motion is carried, none opposed. Moving on to PW 2025-19, Alexandria Lagoon Tertiary Treatment. Councillor Madden.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives a report PW 2025-19, Alexandria Lagoon Tertiary Treatment Selection. And the council authorizes the mayor and the CAO to enter into a supply and commissioning contract with Nexom Inc. for a total potential value of $400,000.
Okay, thank you.
I may just turn to Marco.
Margaret, go ahead. Thank you.
Again, one EVB Engineering got involved with the Alexandria Lagoon project. We looked at the technologies that were being proposed. The secondary treatment system is going to be part of the lagoon system, followed by the Sagar system, which was previously designed by AECOM. They then took that effluent from that system and put it through deep sand filters to achieve the total phosphorus effluent limits that were negotiated with the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks. When we were involved, we went through the correspondence, found out that back at the EA time, the ministry would have accepted a less stringent total phosphorus criteria. So we went back to the ministry, had them approve that lower or higher effluent criteria is still acceptable. By doing that, we're now using a different technology than the deep sand filters, which are problematic historically at other sites that we've contacted. So the disc filter that we're proposing is commonly available. There's many suppliers on the market. We went through a pre-qualification process so that all suppliers can submit. Due to any number of reasons, we received two packages, one from Nexom, who is the supplier of the Sagar system, and one from Acra Narita, I believe, which is out of the States. And after doing an evaluation of the two systems, the recommendation was to pre-select the Nexom system. And the next part of this step would be to order the shop drawings. So if we get the shop drawings from Nexom, we can take all of their design requirements, incorporate it into the redesign of that building so that we're ready for tendering in the spring.
Okay. Questions? Councillor Madden.
One small question. The manufacturer is Nexom, the bidder is ENV Technologies. I just want to make sure that our motion is actually correct.
That's on.
Sorry, I don't have a copy of your motion.
Here, it says the council authorizes the mayor and CEO to enter into a supply and commissioning contract with Nexom Inc. for a total potential value.
But in the table, we've got bidder name, we've got Aqua Aerobics, which was the other, and then we've got ENV Technologies, and the technology they're proposing is from Nexon Inc. So
Yeah,
that's
so
all.
the tertiary system manufacturer is Nexom.
They're the
Marco, but-
manufacturer. So that's, I just want to make sure our motion is correct and we're not going to screw ourselves on something after the fact.
I can
It's through you,
just,
Mr. Mayor, it is through Nexom Inc.
It is
is the
through
supply.
Nexon? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. The only other thing I'll add is that I like the fact that our Canadian content on this is 52%, and I believe the rest of it is actually European, whereas the other one looked to be 100% American. So that's my only comment.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Thank you for coming, very much appreciate it, with Tim away, so. So we, unfinished business, non-consent agenda. Under consent agenda, we have, the transfer payment, so Councillor Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives the item from the consent agenda for information purposes only.
All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. No new business. Notice of motion. Next regular meeting of council, Monday, August 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Question period. Are there any questions? Okay. We have a closed session as a matter deals with proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality. I'll ask the deputy mayor to read in the motion.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, to proceed in closed session as this matter deals with a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. They may be discussed in closed session under sections 239 2C of the Ontario Municipal Act.
Thank you. All those in favor? Motion is carried, so we will proceed in camera.